My son sat across from me at this table, a bank letter between us in this room, claiming I might be unsafe with money. I let him finish, then I answered for myself. I'm Yvonne, mercy with backbone, steady and kind. Right now, Marcus is in this room, staring at that letter like it is a verdict. Naomi watches me like a judge. Between us sits this table, old and quiet, holding a thin stack of paper from the bank. It says someone reported me as confused about money and maybe in need of extra safety. Marcus clears his throat, ready to explain how this is all for my own good. Before he speaks, I rest my hands flat on this table and think of the life Bernard and I built, of the house we paid off without help, of the rules we already set. My heart is calm. I am not on trial here. I am giving a lesson. I tell Marcus, before we talk about papers, we remember history. In this room, at this same table, Bernard and I once wrote simple rules for our money. We did it after a painful family season, when people treated our savings like a prize. We decided every gift would be small, clear, and never owed. We decided our home would stay in our names until we chose otherwise. We wrote that we are adults, not prizes to be managed. Marcus signed that page as a younger man, smiling, saying he was proud of our planning. I remind him of that now. You once liked these rules, I say softly. His eyes drop to the letter, as if he hopes I forget what he already agreed to. The change began quietly, little comments at first. Marcus would laugh and say, "Mum, you're getting forgetful," when I corrected a bill or a date. Naomi would tilt her head and ask if Bernard and I felt overwhelmed managing the house. They called it concern, but it felt like doubt dressed in soft words. Behind my back, they told Claire that Bernard and I were old-fashioned with money, that our policies were harsh. Claire repeated the words here in this room, worried, not cruel. I listened. Concern is welcome. But then a new phrase arrived. Unsafe. They whispered that I might be unsafe with decisions and should not be alone on the deed. That word did not feel like care. It felt like a door they wanted to open without a key. One Sunday, they came to this table with a folder. Simple paperwork, Marcus said. Just adding my name to the house in case something happens. Bernard sat in this chair beside me, his hand on my arm. Something like what? Bernard asked. Storm? Fire? Or your imagination? Marcus flushed. Naomi jumped in. It's about security. The bank likes to see a younger name. And honestly, Mum, sometimes you repeat yourself. We worry. I did not shout. I simply slid the folder back across this table. Our deed stays as it is, I said. If you are worried, we can talk with a neutral lawyer, not with papers I see for the first time at this table. They left that day with tight smiles. The next moves were quieter, but sharper. Weeks later, Claire came to visit, shoulders tense. She sat in this chair and twisted her hands. Mum, Marcus says you're making strange choices. He says you close accounts without telling anyone. He says Naomi is afraid for you. I heard the fear in my daughter's voice, not for my money, but for my name. Reputation is part of my work as a mother. What else did he say? I asked. Claire swallowed. He told me he might have to step in, for your safety. Maybe get help from outside. I felt that word again. Safety. Land heavy in this room. I told Claire. If someone says they are saving me, I want to know exactly from what. and with whose power? She nodded slowly. The next call proved my instincts right. On a Tuesday morning, a woman phoned while I sat at this table with my tea. Her voice was polite, scripted. She said she was from a senior safety office. She told me a report had been made that I might be confused about money and at risk. She wanted to ask questions about my daily life, my bills, my health. In this room, I listened to every word. Then I said, "Ma'am, I will answer any fair question, but only with a witness and my own notes in front of me. This is my life, not a quiz." She hesitated, then agreed to call back at a set time later in the week. When I ended the call, Bernard looked at me across this table. "They are not done pushing," he said. I nodded. "Then we are not done standing." That afternoon, I called our lawyer, a calm woman named Helena, who has helped us with wills and small contracts. I did not dramatize. I simply read the notes I had written at this table. Someone described me as confused, unsafe, and in need of oversight, I told her. Helena sighed. "This is the new trick," she said. "Use the language of care to grab control. We will answer with facts." She offered to be in the room for the next call. I said I did not need a full meeting. "Sit on speaker on this table," I told her. "Listen. Correct anything that bends the truth." She agreed. That night, I slept well. When people come at you in secret, it is frightening. When you drag their plan into the light of this room, it shrinks. The follow-up call came exactly when promised. I put the phone on this table, pressed the loudspeaker, and said, "Before we start, I want you to know my husband and my lawyer are listening." The woman asked if that was necessary. Bernard leaned in and answered, "If you have nothing to hide, you should not mind adults hearing how you speak about them." She went quiet, then continued with her script. She asked who pays the bills. I told her, "I do, and I can show you each one." She asked if I live alone. I answered, "No, I live with my husband, and we care for each other." She asked if I give large sums to family. "Not anymore," I said. "We have steady gifts, written rules, and no secret help." My voice did not shake. I had nothing to hide. Then came the heart of it. She said, "The report says you closed a joint account out of anger." I smiled at Bernard. "No," I replied. "I closed an account because sharing it was unwise. That is not anger. That is correction." She asked about medication. I answered plainly. She asked if I felt paranoid. I said, "No, I feel informed. I know the difference between concern and control." Helena spoke once, briefly. "Please note," she said, "that my client requested this call be recorded and scheduled, and that she invited counsel. That does not match your report of confusion." The woman finally sighed, and her voice softened. "Mrs. Yvonne, from what I hear, you are organized, supported, and clear. I do not see cause for follow-up." In this room, I felt my spine lengthen. After the call, Helena did not rush off. She stayed on the line while Bernard and I sat at this table, absorbing what we had heard. They used words like unsafe and confused without showing you, she said. "That is a warning sign. It means the report was written to sound serious, not to reflect reality." Bernard squeezed my hand. "So, what is the next move?" he asked. Helena replied, "You decide. You can ignore it and hope it fades, or you can take back your story before someone else rewrites it again." I looked around this room, thinking of the grandbabies who visit, of Claire's worried face, of Marcus's hot shame mixed with hunger for control. "We take it back," I said. "But we do it without yelling. We do it the way we do everything, on this table, with clear words."